Hello there guys, and welcome to another one of my reviews. Today we are driving the 2019 Toyota Land Cruiser. This is a legendary car. It was first launched in 1951, and if you check out some of the pictures of the original model, you might see a resemblance with a certain other legendary car, one that carried American soldiers throughout World War II. Yes, Toyota Land Cruiser was based on the original Jeep. Now what happened there was the Japanese army figured out that the US soldiers had the upper hand when it came to covering large amounts of unfavorable ground during World War II, and they wanted a car that would at least offer them the chance to keep up. Well, that car started development in 1941, 1942, and it was finished in 1951. So yeah, by then the Japanese had already lost the war, but we got a great car from that struggle from Toyota. So as I said, the original was launched in 1951. Over the years we had a series of models launched, and this is one of the longest lasting car in the automotive industry. It is one with the longest production span. So today we are driving the latest iteration, which is a 2019 model. Actually, this version was launched in 2007, but it received a big update last year in 2018. So this is a new model technically. So on the outside you won't see big differences compared to older models, because Toyota is stuck to its guns. So they created a car that looks beefy and bulky and challenges you to give it something good to do. What you will notice is that the hood has like a funnel down the middle, which allows you to see better up front, according to Toyota, to see the road you are covering. Now I'm driving the European version, the diesel version, and it's fitted with a 2.8 liter 4-cylinder diesel engine with 177 horsepower and 450 Newton meters of torque. In the US you also get a V8, which has a different gearbox in an entirely different layout. So that V8 is good for almost 400 horsepower and has an 8-speed automatic, whereas on this car we have a 6-speed automatic. But this gearbox is solid as a rock, and that's one of the main reasons why the Toyota Land Cruiser is so loved and holds its value so well, because according to Toyota, it is built to last 25 years. And truth be told, most cars do last that long. So basically, when you buy one of these, you're making a long-term investment, because this car will not fail you for 25 years. Try to get your head around that, considering that most cars these days will break down after 3 or 4 years. This one will last for 25 years. That's impressive in my book. So what is it like to drive? Well, it's big. It's really big. You sit so high, at least in Europe, where we don't have so many trucks as in the US. You sit really high. 90% of the cars are sitting below you, and it's a really interesting feeling. Furthermore, the new Land Cruiser has an air suspension, and that allows you to raise and lower this car's height, but also allows you to ride in extreme comfort. This thing is one of the most comfortable cars I've ever driven, and part of that is that of course the air suspension plays a big part, but there's also a big set of tires, 19-inch wheels with really tall tires on them, so you have a lot of leeway between the rim and the surface you're driving on. So that's yet another reason why this car is extremely comfortable. Inside the cabin, we have a familiar layout. Everything is typically Toyota. The instrument cluster is analog, but has some digital information shown right in the middle, like pitch, yaw, everything you need to know when you're off-roading. The infotainment system is rather slow. That's not really an issue, because people buying this car are not buying it to use I don't know, waves on it or stuff like that. They're buying it to go off-roading into the desert, or maybe into the extreme cold in some places. And the car is really prepared for that kind of stuff, because you have all the luxury commodities in it that you wouldn't expect from a car that is meant to be used in a more agrarian sense, if you will. So you get a heated steering wheel, heated seats front and back, cooled seats up front, electric power seats. You get a sunroof, 4-zone climate control. You can control the rear climate control from the up. You have a Blu-ray display for the rear passengers. You can even get this car with 7 seats. The rear seats, the third row seats, are foldable by the press of a button. So you have all the comfort in here you could possibly need. And basically, when you're driving this car, you feel like you can drive it just about anywhere, and that is true. So for the new model, you have a electronic controller right here that allows you to set up some different driving modes. So instead of the old, second gear selector that allows you to lock the differential and so on, the transfer case, this car has electronics on board. So you have 2 main knobs here. One of them is for going from high range to low range. It's just basically by the push of a button. And the one up top allows you to set up the speed in crawl mode. What crawl mode is a system created to allow you to cover rough terrains without actually having to brake or accelerate. It's basically a sort of cruise control for off-roading. You set up crawl mode and you can adjust the speed in 5 different steps using this knob here. So I tested it yesterday and it's really interesting. Once you activate it, it basically handles everything on its own. It will brake, accelerate, and so on. And the car makes all these weird noises while doing it. It feels rather weird. But you need to remember that the car is not broken. That's just how this system works. Just above the crawl button, you have the MTS button, which is multi-terrain select mode. Basically, it allows you to choose between different driving modes. In case you're on sand, gravel, mud, or anything like that, you can press that button and the car adapts its all-wheel drive system to that specific type of driving. You also have a differential lock button right here. You have a button that allows you to start off in 2nd gear. You have a button that allows you to lock the air suspension in a certain position, because as I said, you can adjust the air suspension. The car comes with 22 centimeters of ground clearance, but you can raise it and lower it depending on your preference. And there's also a button here that allows you to do that, to raise and lower the car's height. So where does that leave us? Well, I tried the car in off-roading mode yesterday, drove it on some really bad roads, but I couldn't say I really tested it. But it just covered all those bad roads easily without an issue. I even took it through some water. This car can wade through some 70 centimeters of water, so it's really good. Also, you have plenty of aftermarket choices for snorkels, which allow you to extend the air intake up to this to the car's height, so you can go through seriously deep levels of water. So the car is really good in off-road, and it's really comfortable doing it too. You can seat 7 people inside. Okay, the 3rd row is not the most comfortable in the world. You don't have a lot of space, but let's say you're just gonna cram 2 people in the back. They should probably be shorter than average, and you won't have big issues with it. So where does that leave us? Well, I was mightily impressed by this car. The feeling it gives you when you're driving off-road, and the way it handles itself, the reliability of this car, and the fuel consumption, because around town, okay, it did drink about 12 liters of diesel for each 100 kilometers covered, but outside the city limits at average speeds of 56 miles an hour, I saw a fuel consumption of around 7.5 liters of diesel per 100 kilometers covered, which is absolutely amazing. At speeds over 75 miles an hour, I saw an average fuel consumption of around 11 liters, which is once again great for a car that tips the scale at 2,500 kilos, 2.5 tons. That all being said, I absolutely love this car. Now I get it. Now I understand why they are so loved in the automotive industry and by car enthusiasts everywhere. I absolutely loved it. Couldn't recommend it more. I would probably go for the V8 if I bought one, just because I think it's going to be more reliable than this diesel engine that also comes with a diesel particulate filter. And this particulate filter might just ruin the engine on the long run. I don't know. I'm sure Toyota did its homework and created a system that works, but I would just simply go for the V8, mainly for the power, to be honest. That being said, this has been my review of the Toyota Land Cruiser. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share, and of course, subscribe to keep this channel alive. See you next time.